Hello and welcome to the HPPL show. Got a terrible episode for you today. If you're watching this on YouTube, come on down to the live show every Friday, 3 p.m. to 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. We have one scripted lesson about game design, except this week I'm throwing that shit to the curb. Then we work together live on stream to develop Freelander Adventures, a 4-player card game halfway between Munchkins and Dungeons and Dragons as far as complexity and concept. 4 players work together to team up and defeat epic monsters. I hope it's pretty fun. If you want to make it actually enjoyable and put your own personal touch on it, come down to the live streams, leave your comments in the YouTube. Let's make this game together. And then this, right now, we are still projected to be good for June, for when the Kickstarter starts, and that'll probably be a 6-month campaign. Maybe longer. Who knows with everything that's going on. All right. Okay, as promised by the thumbnail and title, this is a Logan Paul rant. Here's my issue. Why the fuck does every YouTuber I watch forget a very important piece of Logan's media history? Now, I must have tricked you, right? Because you came here expecting me to smash on Logan Paul, probably. Because that's how I'm going to set up this thumbnail. That's how I'm going to set up these visuals. But no. I am pissed at the fucking YouTubers for missing this, right? If you're watching this vlog and you clicked on my thumbnail, you're probably a man between the ages of 25 and 35, and you revel in the trash talking that your red pill YouTubers pile onto Logan, right? Or your game theorists. Like, the game theorists missing this blind spot is what really pissed me off. The people that delve in deep when they research any particular topic or history on their expertise subject. Like, it just pisses me off so much. I really just want to trash talk them for missing this piece of why Logan Paul continues to grow, even now in 2020, now that Vine no longer exists, now that TikTok is a terrible platform to actually get any sort of transitive growth, and TikTok is super overwhelmed. And while he can just coast on his lifestyle brand that he's built, his stupid vlogs, and his somewhat quality podcast. I watched a few of them today to prep for this show, and yeah, his podcasts are just a step below Joe Rogan. So if you're a decade younger and you aren't into the JRE, then Logan Paul is a good substitute for you to throw on while you're playing video games and relax, like what I do, right? Long form content on in the background, which is what most people are on Twitch for. When I first started to see YouTubers trash on Logan, it was out of virtue signaling and distancing themselves, condemning his actions over the Japanese incident. Right. I don't have to explain the Japanese incident. You know about his trip to Japan and how that caused one of the adpocalypse YouTube's experiences with the weather every season. Right. A year later, they stopped referring to him as a YouTuber and they started referring to him as a Viner so they could further distance himself. But they're still missing out the key piece of why he's still gaining followers and Google searches out of nowhere. That's right, you probably don't know either, right? Logan Paul has a brother, right? Jake Paul. They never mention that, right? Jake Paul is still airing on the Disney Channel in the first 2 seasons, for his character in the first 2 seasons of Bizaardvark, right? A sitcom that follows 2 girls as they work at Not Google video production arm on original skits, right? Jake Paul is driving traffic to Logan Paul. So mentioning Logan Paul's success without mentioning Jake Paul is a huge blindside, right? It is the single piece of thing that drove people to his content. Even after, even during Jake Paul's run on Bizaardvark, Logan Paul and Jake Paul worked the algorithm so well on YouTube with the video reply system and their diss tracks towards each other, that they were able to times 100 their initial fan base that carried over from Vine. Like, it is just ridiculous because they get that search demographic of 16-year-olds, right, with their YouTube content. Jake Paul gets a nice funnel of searches from 8 to 12-year-olds, right, searching for where he went from Bizarre since he's missing from season 3, right? His absence in the show actually provides a mystery for people to solve ages 8 to 12. And then once that demographic finds him, they find his brother, and that's why everyone constantly gets funneled to Logan Paul. Like, you need to understand success, right? And this is why it pisses me off so much, is because people pretend like their connections don't matter at all, when in fact they matter a ton, so much, right? Like, while watching the podcast today, I found out that Logan Paul has a longtime friend who works on his content with him on the podcast, who helped film all of Logan's early Vines and is with him through this entire journey of success and wealth, right? That kind of friendship, like having access to free labor just because people are your friends and that is their field of interest and expertise, was exponentially valuable to Logan Paul's success, right? If you want to be successful, you have to understand the networking effect, and you have to understand where you are right now economically, right? If you went to a poor high school, right, you are severely disadvantaged because all your friends went to that poor high school. Everybody you know is from that poor town, right? You are not going to make connections that are going to get you into Hollywood from that poor town. Like, it doesn't matter how good you are meritoriously, right? Unless you make those connections, unless you do the work to get out of that high school and into Harvard, where just by being into Harvard and graduating from Harvard with any degree, even in underwater basket weaving, now you have reputation behind you. You have that Harvard seal of approval. You have everybody you met in Harvard. Like, it would have saved me about 12 years of frustration, at least, if somebody told me that when I was 18, the purpose of going to college is to forge connections with people, not to get a degree. You go to college to meet people who will make your career. You go to college to impress a professor who knows a student from 5 years ago who works in the industry you want to be in. That is why you go to college. Unless you're going for a career path degree, right, where you know there is a career on the other side of that. Unless that is your focus, you are going to college to meet people. And those people you meet in college, you will never have an opportunity to network that successfully again. Because everybody you meet after college wants something from you, or you want something from them. And you cannot forge any sort of friendship or relationship off of that basis. Now, you might say that Logan was only on with his brother Jake for one episode of those 2 seasons, and that shouldn't have any impact because he was only on one episode. But it's not the fact that Logan was ever on the show. It's that his brother, who looks just like him, was on that show. And so when you search the Pauls, you get their whole media histories, the back and forth. Quickly Google Jake Paul with less than 3 clicks will lead you to Logan Paul. And with his amount and variety of content, you will be a Jake Paul fan if you're an 8-year-old, a 10-year-old, a 12-year-old, right? And then once you're a 12-year-old, you've already made up your mind, that's your fandom, And you're going to follow this 25-year-old punk for the rest of your life, as long as he keeps producing content that is relevant to you for your stage of life. And right now, he's producing content that's relevant to the 15-year-olds with his daily vlogs. He's producing content that's relevant to the 15 to 20-year-olds with his more choreographed projects. He's producing content that's relevant to 20 to 25-year-olds with his podcast, right? I'm sure in the next 5 years, he'll also master that field of 25 to 30, and he may even age out of trying to scoop up 10 to 15-year-olds. But this is how media acquisition works. And the research I've done, this is what it says. It says if you grab someone when they are 12 years old, they will be your fan for life. That's why when the prequels came out, I was just over the age where those didn't affect me anymore. Right? I was out of their age category. Had I been just 2 years younger, I would be a prequels fanboy. But because I wasn't in the right age demographic of 8 to 12-year-old, that stuff didn't resonate with me the same way. So Star Wars never acquired me as a fan. Right? Who did acquire me as a fan when I was 8 to 12? Star Trek. Right? Voyager, and later Deep Space Nine, as I became more of a teenager. Deep Space Nine syndicated Deep Space Nine, not while it aired. But there was a Star Trek for every stage of where I was in development, so that I can get much further into the fandom and have a higher brand affiliation with Star Trek. Logan Paul unknowingly has mastered this whole thing. And not just through his efforts, but through his brother's efforts as well. That is like my real craw, is that you have to acknowledge that he is in the mainstream. Just because your whole life and career is on YouTube does not mean other things don't exist outside of that. And if you are going to be the researchers doing the trash talking, man, please just be accurate and let your audience be well informed. Because the more people just pretend that who you know and your connections and your family don't matter, the worse it is for everybody, okay? Because those who actually utilize their relationships with their friends and their family, and their friends and their family reciprocate and give back to them, they are always going to be more successful, regardless of talent. And Logan Paul is the prime example, because his talent is very small. Like, get your shit together, people. Like, this is just the system we live in, and you either start acknowledging this, or you're just willfully lying to people. Like, I hope people are just doing it out of ignorance. They just don't want to dive that deep onto Logan Paul because they see him as superficial competition, and his style is not their style, and therefore they think his fans might not be their fans. But they do see the traffic when he shows up, and they know conflict between his fans and their fans are good for engagement, and all the other metrics the algorithm likes to see. But just wish people would be honest about this shit. I hope we can be friends. I hope we start sharing our resources amongst ourselves. And just a like on this video or a share on your social, right? Nobody has to actually respond to those likes or tweets, but the algorithm would start promoting it even further, right? Or you know what would be great? Putting a bunch of Logan Pauls in the comments of this video in particular, right? It doesn't matter what you say, but if you put those words, Logan Paul, Jake Paul, the algorithm will read it. It won't know what you said, but it'll start funneling more traffic to this video in particular. Now, this video is going to be just like all my other videos, so I'm going to end this rant here. And through the magic of editing, we're going to go to the summary of what we did today. All right, welcome to the recap portion of the show. All right, here's what we did. So we started with card 5, right? The Suicide Forest. Keeping with today's theme, focusing on Logan Paul, we were able to grind out the 16 cards we need for minimum play testing. All of these are subject to change, of course, and your input So leave your comment of what you want to see in this game. Here we go. Name Suicide Forest. Design note: a blonde man standing in front of a haunted forest. Top image the same. Status text: help. My daughter has ran away and into the suicide forest. Can you find her? Convince the mother to make another one. Roll a charisma check. Beat 19. Take 2 damage if you fail. Rewards 2 loot. Now we need to make the rewards the same. Like, mechanically, I don't want to incentivize any type of playstyle, so I will be editing these as we go through them. But mechanically, the rewards are going to be exactly the same as the fail conditions, right? So, this one. Search the forest, roll a dex check, 20 to win, 15 to 20, draw 19. So again, I don't want to incentivize any play style, but mechanically, I do want to do interesting things throughout. So your second option is to do a dex check. All right, your first option is to be a total sleazebag bard. Your second option is to do the dex check and find the girl in the forest. If you roll between these ranges, right, you're going to encounter a monster, which we get to later. Card number 6. I saw this in a circus once. Design note: a man jumping over a stampeding buffalo. You've been dared to jump over a buffalo. Choice 1, take the dare, dex check, 16 wins, rewards 3 loot, fail 2 damage. No one said it had to be awake, int check 16, rewards 3 loot, fail 2 damage. Barroom brawl. Design note: boxing. Top image: bar fight. Status text: a fight's broken out, and like it or not, you're a part of it now. Choice 1, knock the block off anyone swinging, strength check 14. Choice 2, just finish your ale, con check 14. Now remember, for these checks you're going to roll a d10, and then you're going to add your strength or dexterity for whichever choice you choose. The choices are just flavor-wise and based on the stats of your character. What's going to be easiest will determine your playstyle mechanically, but flavor-wise you can choose either option, right? So there is this role-playing element to it, but the rewards are always going to be the same. Card number 8, you meet a blind forager. Help, brave adventurer. I fear some of these mushrooms are poisonous. Choice 1, taste the varieties of mushroom the man has. Con check 15. Fail, take 2 damage, reward 1 loot. Now, one thing I want to point out here is, like, I want to keep this text super simple, but already through my head I know I'm building tons of interactions and backstories and wit that can be played at the table for the enjoyment of the players of this game. But I don't want to force all that text onto this card. We have a limited space to deal with. 2 by 5 inches high, 2 by 5 inches wide by 3.5 inches tall for the standard playing card size. Identify by sight the poisonous types. Wisdom check 15. Fail, take 2 damage. Reward 1 loot. Missing burb. Top image: an empty ornate bird cage with paintings of an African grey and a suspicious cat in the corner. Burb, a mix between an African grey and a cephalopod. Status: help, someone has stolen my prize burb. Convince the owner it was the cat. Charisma check 17. Reward 1 loot. Fail 2 damage. Investigate with the powers of your mind and superior forehead. Intelligence check 17. Again, 1 loot. Fail 2 damage. I'm gonna lower this. 13. We'll go to 13. Because remember, you roll the d10 and then you add your stat to that. So you could roll a 1, right? And then your stat plus that, and hopefully you're still able to pass, but probably not early in the game when you don't have equipment or feat cards to add bonuses to your stats. We're going to put all the bonuses that we were giving on these type of quest cards into the loot pile itself, and we're just going to generously pile out more loot cards. Alright, name: off-roading wagoneer. A flipped over Wells Fargo style carriage. Right, keeping with our themes of Old West high fantasy, that should fit. You've come across a stranded traveler asking for a hand. I can spell. Help them right the wagon with the wheel of your own two hands. Strength check 20. Rewards 4. Invent a contraption to right the wagon. Int check 20. Here we go. Watch the children for a minute. The priest has an exorcism with Miss Jones. Name of the card, tag 2. Hold them so they don't get into any trouble. Strength check 14. Rewards 2. A game of tag. Dex check 14. Rewards 2. Card 12. Ambushed. Top image. Something awesome like confetti and an explosion of unicorns and stars. Status. You walked right into something dangerous. Choice 1. Draw quest cards until you reveal a combat quest. Complete that quest. That monster deals an additional 2 damage. An additional damage plus 2. Get 2 loot plus that card's reward. Choice 2. Run away, get nothing but the satisfaction of not being dead. It was just a dream. So, mechanically, there is a superior choice here. And then on the flip side, double duty. 2 quests done in the time of 1. Draw quest cards until you reveal a non-combat quest and complete that quest, double the rewards of that card. Or option 2, go home, take a nap, it's okay. Get double the action points of next turn. So, mechanically on this one, we're incentivizing an either-or approach, and we don't know. It's up to the player to decide what they want to do. Right? I think both of these are good role-playing opportunities for our players, so that's as is. Card 14, Sword-Wielding Rats. Image, a shop owner with a speech bubble filled with sword-wielding rats. Kill 10 of these dangerous rats, bring me their swords as proof of the deed. Choice 1, go kill the sword-wielding rats, strength check 13. Bring the man toothpicks and claim to have done the deed. Charisma check 13. Number 15, everyone's favorite escort quest. Top image, a brothel of Fabio men and tiggle bitty women. Status text, can you take my employees downtown and show them a good time? Choice 1, show them a good time. Con check 15, reward 3 loot, fail 3 damage. Take them on a tour of downtown. Int check 15, reward 3 loot, fail 3 damage. Again, brevity opens up a huge space of possibilities for these cards, so that's why I think it's hilarious, and I'm laughing in my own head constantly. Alright, and last but not least, card number 16. Show these thugs what's up. My thugs aren't thugging properly. Can you teach them to be more thuggish? Top image, an incompetent gang. Choice 1. Teach them to toughen up by hitting them hard. Strength check 16. Teach them violence isn't the answer. Threats are. Wisdom check 16. And again, 2 loot, fail 2 damage. Alright, so that's what we did today. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and all that other YouTube bullshit. We go live next Friday, 3 p.m. to 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, and I don't know what we'll be working on or what I will rant about, but with this video heavily edited, don't forget to drop Logan Paul's name down in the comments so I can get some more traction on this thing. And come on down, work with me. We got a lot more work to do on this card game before we even start getting into beta testing. And yeah, that's all I have to say about that. Don't forget to check out my website. Links are in the description. I post blogs there about random stuff if you're interested in reading. And that's the end of this episode. Have a good day.